Catherine Feore, EU reporter. I'd just like to pick up on your last point about economic support. It's not maybe politically correct to refer to a refugee as a burden, but the fact of the matter is that people who come to your country, they have nothing, they have needs. They need to learn a new language, they need to perhaps be reskilled, they need housing and accommodation. And would you like to see stronger economic mechanisms to ensure that it's easier for communities to integrate these people? Because otherwise we feed into populism, and we feed into those people who resent the foreigner, and who resent people who come to their lands. And what can we do and what mechanisms can we use to ensure that we support those communities who are going out there and helping refugees? Thank you.
First of all, as I said, when it comes to European fundings, we have to check our financial rules if there is a possibility to directly fund those communities who are willing to do better. Second, when we talk about better behavior against refugees and doing integration, it's not always a question of big amounts of money. Sometimes it's only the readiness to talk to people, to help them, to give a smile to them even in some areas. So yes, it's a question of money, but it's not only a question of money. And in addition to that, when you ask on money, as I said, we have to talk about the financial resources in future of the budget. And if we take all those parts in time, I think we have possibilities to support also the communities in front.
Ska Keller, MEP. What is the EU-Turkey deal?
Well, looking at it from a legal perspective, we have learned it's not an EU-Turkey deal because it's not the EU who did the deal, but actually the member states. And then it's also not a deal, we have learned, but it's actually just a common press statement. But on the basis of a press statement, there's people who are being returned to Turkey, which is not a safe country for them.
We see that there's a lot of financial support for the EU-Turkey deal. Obviously, Turkey are receiving a large number of Syrian refugees. Don't they need support?
Indeed, we need to support Turkey. Turkey has or is hosting more refugees than the whole European Union altogether. So yes, we should support Turkey financially and technically, but the Turkey deal implies more. It implies the return. It implies that Turkey, therefore Erdogan, is securing our borders so that no refugee can anymore enter the European Union, and that is wrong.
We've had a very difficult weekend. We've seen difficulties in Rotterdam, accusations from Erdogan that it's Nazification of the Dutch state and other rather outrageous claims. Are we supporting Erdogan in supporting the EU-Turkey deal?
The Turkey deal has had as one of their consequences that the member states were reluctant to criticize Erdogan for him putting journalists into prison and going really much against human rights and democracy. So because he would have something against him in his hand, namely he could send refugees basically across the border, and because of that deal we had less criticism from the EU member states, and that's another big problem that we have with this Turkey deal.
At the same time, a lot of people have been, in some sense, relieved. For example, there have been far fewer deaths in the Aegean. Everybody's happy about that. So in some senses, people welcome this deal. Where do we go from here?
Well, people who welcome it, they basically welcome it because there's less refugees coming to Europe. Fine for them, fine for the member states, but not fine for the refugees, because the refugees are still there, but they're living now in the streets of Istanbul or are trying to cross from Syria into Turkey, but they can't do that anymore because Turkey has built a wall. So the problem of the humanitarian crisis is still there. It's just not here in Europe.